Shh. Let's do this, boys. Okay. Oh, oops. Oops. Alright. Gerald Croft by Ibrahim, Jordan, Edgarus, and Charlie. To my left I have Jordan, and we're going to present to you the character of Gerald Croft. Okay, let's begin. Right, let's begin with the background information. So, Jordan, can you tell us a bit about, Gerald's background information?
Well, Gerald is a young, handsome man who is in his early 30s, rather handsome looking fellow, and he's engaged to a girl called Sheila Burling.
He's also the owner of Croft Limited, the rich dude, very rich man, very high social stature, which is why his mother doesn't really approve of his marriage with Sheila. But he still ends up doing the dirty with Eva Smith, aka Daisy Renton. Yeah, that's the one. Right, yeah, there we go. And well, he has two main relationships with characters. What are those characters then?
Well, as we mentioned earlier, it was both Eva Smith, who he knows as Daisy Brenton because she changed her name to that, and also Sheila Burling.
Fantastic.
Not really, because...
Shut up.
Business happened.
Business. Alright, well, let's begin with Eva Smith. Alright, Eva Smith, pretty beautiful lady, adventurous, wild, interesting. She was one day Gerald went to the Palace Bar and Theatre to watch a play and have a drink. When he went to get his drink after the play, he saw this beautiful young lady being smothered by a rather rotund man called Joe Megacy. Using his quick wit, he was able to use the manager to get him out of the way and chatted up the fine lady at the table. He then proceeded to give her a nice place to live and start making love to her all night long.
The place where Daisy actually stayed at is at his friend's house, who is going to Canada for 6 months, and that's how he got the place where she could stay for.
Very good, yes, exactly. So, now, Jordan, how about Sheila? Tell us about Sheila, yeah?
Sheila is the fiancée to Gerald. However, she has a different opinion on Gerald from the start of the play. They're all very in love, they're all lovey-dovey, but she does spark quite often during the play, and she can be acted as quite rude. But
yeah, and Sheila definitely, Eva was in a relationship with her, and I think she was everything that Eva wasn't, No, Eva was everything that Sheila wasn't, Eva was adventurous, Eva was prettier than Sheila, very, very pretty, looked good in clothes that Sheila didn't look good in, and I think Gerald wanted more of an adventurous life, and maybe quite materialistic in the way that he wants something that looks good, over something that, something that he's supposed to look after. It's a very interesting point to explain, of course. Yeah. Alright, Gerald Croft, how does he change throughout the play? Well, out of all the characters, Gerald Croft changes the absolute least, because he does feel, doesn't he? He feels sad about what happens, yeah?
He does feel sad about what happened.
Yeah, it does, but doesn't learn anything from it. He chooses to ignore it and try to find a way to, make it so it's not his fault, you know what I mean? So he goes and proves that the inspector wasn't the inspector. All of the information goes in one ear, comes out the other. Interesting point there, and he still assumes he can be in a relationship with Sheila. Straight afterwards, which is showing kind of arrogance, that maybe he thinks that he's owed everything, but maybe because he just has an easy lifestyle, you know what I mean?
He's sort of mixed between the
slightly, that's true.
Yeah,
that is slightly true. Yeah.
Even though he's young himself, he is part of the young generation, but
he doesn't learn anything from it.
He doesn't change exactly. Other than apart from Eric and Sheila, who do change.
Right, we have 5 quotes that we think sum up the character himself and situations they was in. I'll read the first, read the second, etc. Alright. Now you read the first, actually.
I hate those hard-eyed, dough-faced women.
We're respectable citizens and not criminals.
I'm rather more upset by this business than I probably appear to be.
I don't come into this suicide business.
Everything's alright now, Sheila. What about this ring?
5 quotes we thought that summarised the character, showed his, how he thought, and how he acted. Like I said earlier, he's assuming that he can still, he thinks everything's still fine, and thinks he can still be with Sheila, which is the last bit of quote. everything's alright with Sheila. So he thinks that everything's fine even after all that's happened, and all he cares about is getting back to Sheila. Quite a interesting point there. And also, he doesn't believe he comes into the suicide business at all. He doesn't think he's done anything wrong here, you know. So that's another interesting point, you know. But he is upset, which is the third quote. I am rather more upset, right? He says that himself. And we're respectable citizens. He doesn't really and not criminals. It's like he doesn't differentiate between the lower class and criminals. Like, we're respectable citizens. Us higher class people, us the Burling family, the Croft family, we're respectable citizens here. And you should be asking, you know, like the lower class, like the criminals and people who are not so rich as us and so good looking as us. You know, it's quite an interesting point. And I hate this harder dough-faced women. I think is talking about prostitutes, and which is quite hypocritical, because he does end up having, you know, fun times with a lady.
He does end up making love to Daisy.
Having the fun times with somebody who isn't really his fiance or wife. How Priestley, okay, this is our exam question. How Priestley presents the character of Gerald as an upper-class young man in the play. Right, like we said earlier, he's a fine, as a model gentleman, you know, rich, you know, and his quote, handsome. There's a quote that shows that he's used to a rich lifestyle. You ought to like this port. Port is an alcoholic drink. Gerald, as a matter of fact. Finchley told me it's the same port your father gets from him. It's a drink that only back in the days, only the rich could afford. Quite a high class drink. Also, his father drinks it. His father is a rich man, the previous owner of Gerald Croft, the Croft company, sorry. And so it shows that he's used to these rich luxuries, and was brought up in a wealthy family and is used to it. So that's an interesting point there. He's also treated with respect by a large majority of people in Brumley. You know, he got the manager to do something when maybe he wouldn't be able to do if he's lower class. Just because he was high, he was richer, you know, people like to owe, like rich people, people like upper class people to owe them favours in the future because they're rich, they're handsome, they have connections, and they can do things. He doesn't, like we said earlier, he doesn't differentiate between lower class and criminals. He says we're respectable citizens and not criminals. But like we said earlier, it's like he's not drawing a line, so there's no middle ground. There's only criminal or respectable citizens. And when he's talking about respectable citizens, he's talking about the Burling family himself, these high class rich people. And he doesn't say anything about the middle class, like, but he only talks about criminals. So it's like he generalizes criminals and the lower class in one place. Also, he, like we said, he views himself higher than others, you know, social status and plenty of money. He uses it to support Daisy or Eva Smith, you know. And it shows that not all of the younger generation change. Like I said earlier as well, Eric changes, Sheila changes, they all feel bad, they want to change. But Gerald does not. He does feel bad about what happened to her, but he doesn't feel he was the one who did it to her. He believes that others were the one, and he just don't come into this, you know. He wants to forget about it, he doesn't want to learn anything from it. There's a quote right there, I don't come into the suicide business. Right, that is our presentation on Gerald Croft. Thank you for listening. Like, hey. Yeah. Got him. Alright, let's stop this. Hey. Today.